Hey everybody, it's Rob here at SHOT Show 2022, day 2 on the floor. We got a ton of companies that we're going to be talking to, namely Smith & Wesson, Magpul, and many others. So follow along and see what we can find out today. We're at the B&T booth and we got a really great announcement. We just bought a couple firearms that we're going to be providing for rent on our range. Coming up first is right here. It's the Station 6. This is an integrally suppressed pistol. This is the ultimate assassin's weapon. This is going to be really cool to check out. Next, we have the MK2. This is a phenomenal pistol by B&T, and we are going to have this for rent. You are going to love the B&T platform, bringing perfection to their own personal pistol. And last but not least, we have the APC 9 SD Pro. Integrally suppressed SMG. This is what the forces are using, and we're gonna bring it to your hands. This is an awesome gun, and you're gonna love it. And one of the cool things is, it also takes Glock mags. Hey everyone, this is Rob and we're here at the Federal booth, and I have with us Chris here to talk about the new Super Carry 30 round. Chris?
Hi. Yeah, so 30 Super Carry, brand new cartridge. So it's going to take proprietary firearms, things like it is a brand new cartridge. So the idea was we sat down with the engineers and we're determined to develop a cartridge for today instead of adapting 100-year-old cartridges to try and make them work the way people expect them to today, using modern propellants, modern case design, modern primer design, modern bullet design, especially because of all the advances we've made in the last 2 decades on bullet design. So knowing that the biggest market for handgun in the United States is concealed carry, personal defense, and knowing that the drivers for that are the convenience of carry, concealment, or the ability to carry as many rounds as you can in a small package. So what we looked at was, can we develop a round with the terminal effectiveness of 9? So performs terminally as well as 9mm does, but then in a smaller package to allow for either more rounds in a gun or for you to build a smaller gun around that platform. So what we did was we started with a bunch of different diameters, settled on a 312 diameter, and we started looking at 30, which is kind of where the 30 came from. So kind of picked that as, okay, that's as small as we want to go. Ended up with a 312 diameter projectile, so about the same as what a 32 auto projectile diameter would be. But we're not reusing anything. All the components were built from the ground up for as far as the case and bullet. So it is a 312 diameter, and what we're seeing originally is 100 grain to 115 grain projectiles. Federal is going to do 100 grain American Eagle and 100 grain HST. Remington is going to introduce 100 grain UMC and an HTP. And then Speer Gold Dot is going to do a 115 grain, and CCI will do a Blazer 115 grain to go along with that for training. So that's 6 products right out the gate from 4 different brands, right? So that's the ammunition. And as far as performance, so it's a high pressure load. It's built to be a high pressure cartridge. So we were able to get more velocity and more terminal performance out of the smaller projectile. Really good sectional densities to aid in both accuracy and in penetration depth. So a little bit skinnier, a little bit longer. Same overall length as a 9mm, the loaded cartridges, with a little longer case than a 9 to make up for some of the lost capacity for the reduced diameter. Out of a 4-inch test barrel, the 100 grain is about 1250 feet per second. The 115 grain is about 1150 feet per second. And just by way of comparison from a terminal performance standpoint, what we've got here is just a model that we did of actual wound channel models, and those were the upsets that we took out of the gel when we got done shooting it. So this is through the FBI's heavy clothing protocol, which is denim, fleece, dress shirt, t-shirt, to summarize it. And the top is our 380 HST. The bottom is a 124 grain 9mm HST, and what you're seeing in the middle there is the 100 grain 30 Super Carry HST. So about 9.85 inches of penetration there with really good upset size. which is the problem with 380, right? It's always a compromise. So if you want it to expand, it's going to penetrate shallow and vice versa. So 9mm, we step up and we get good upset size, more like a 5.7 to 0.6 kind of range. But the penetration depth there is about 14.5, really good, right? And that's kind of that baseline that we want to have for terminal performance. And then in the super carry, we've got 0.53 to 0.55, somewhere in that range, typically upset size through heavy clothing. So it's starting to creep up to where the 9 is, but then you get an extra inch of penetration depth. So there, as the FBI states, kind of the importance of terminal performance for a defensive round, it's shot placement, then penetration depth, and then expansion upset size. In order of priority, those are the things that matter for a terminal performing bullet. So it's very accurate, it's very controllable, a little less recoil than a 9, so you can put the rounds where they need to be. We cover placement, penetration depth being next, and then that expansion size, growing it so we're still getting anywhere from 1.7 to 1.9 times expansion. So the bullet is almost doubling in size in some cases, right? So, yeah. And that, especially in bare gel, and that's what we were shooting for with this. We use the 124 just kind of as a baseline for comparison. Because the energies were kind of close. It's actually got more energy than our 147 grain HST 9mm. The terminal performance of that one is higher because of the big heavy bullet, right? So just to have a comparison to help people understand, the 30 Super Carry will outperform anything 100 grain, 115 grain in 9mm, and it's up around where the 124 is. But then in all the guns that we're launching with, we're getting 2 extra rounds per magazine. So to start with, Smith & Wesson and Nighthawk were the first ones to come to market. Yep. So Nighthawk we worked with very early in development, smart guys, really open-minded, ambitious, said this is a cool idea, we want to be there. Gave us our first proof of concept guns, helped us to evolve the cartridge, check things like the pressures and how is that all going to work with the cartridge. Smith & Wesson then stepped in and worked on the smaller guns. So they're doing an EZ and Shield Plus. So 2 extra rounds in each of those mags, right? So the 8-round EZ is now a 10-rounder, 10 plus 1. So, and those were the first ones to come to market. There'll be more gun companies coming. Those guys just happen to step up and get it done really quick, right? So
we got to shoot it at range day, and I was very impressed with it. And so it's definitely a much more controllable round. I generally carry a 380 on the daily, so this would be a nice upgrade for sure.
And we expect that kind of wave 2 will fall into that range too, where now the gun companies can build a frame around it. So you're never going to get as small as a 380 just because of the high pressures and things like that, but you're going to be able to get somewhere in between that micro compact 9 and a really small 380. So it'll carry more like a 380, but it's still going to hit like a 9. So.
Absolutely. But like you said, and it's all going to matter about how many other companies take on this new round. But I liked how you put it that, why try to use old technology and make it work for today's uses? And that's a really good point. And like, at first you think that's just a really big investment to spend on ammo, but is it really an investment if it makes something better than what we've been using?
And it's important to know too, the pricing is going to be the same as 380.
Okay.
So you're not going to pay some super premium or something. It's especially in the premium personal defense, our price to customers for 9mm, 30 Super Carry, and 380 HSTs are right around the same. Once you get to the target ammo, 9mm starts to have a little bit more of a gap.
Sure.
But we're going to keep that price right where 380 is, and that's deliberate to try and keep it affordable for people to be able to try out the new round.
Absolutely. That'll definitely help with people adopting it. It's very cool. So we're really excited to see more happening with the Super Carry.
Glad you got to shoot it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
When can we expect it to be commercially available?
It's shipping now. It's shipping now. So especially initially, what we're trying to do for the first couple months is get the ammo to go where the guns are going, so that you can find them both at the same location. So
right.
We're trying hard to do that at first, but it's being produced and shipped now. It'll be kind of sporadic as those guns and ammo kind of get out into the market, but then after a couple months, it'll be just regular availability like you'd expect from any other ammo. So, which is all tough right now just because of how fast it's getting gobbled up, right? But yeah, it'll enter into the regular cycle and be available like anything else after that.
Awesome. That's very awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciate all of your time and all of your information. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good one. All right, guys, you just heard it from Federal, the 30 Super Carry round. What do you think about it? We got a chance to try it out, and I thought it was pretty cool. Let us know if you have any other questions about the 30 Super Carry or anything else here at SHOT Show. All right, we're at the Smith & Wesson booth, and speaking of the 30 Super Carry, Smith & Wesson just put out a new Shield Plus in the new caliber. And what's really cool about this is showing that a manufacturer is saying, let's try out this new round. And I'll tell you, the other day at Range Day, we got a chance to shoot the Shield Plus in the Super Carry round. I'm not personally a big fan of this firearm. However, with the 30 Super Carry, I was able to control the firearm much better than I am normally with the 9mm variant. I think it's a really cool round, and I think that it's a very good possibility that we may see more of it, but only time will tell. Up next, we have the new line from Smith & Wesson, the CSX. And this is basically a 1911 double stack. Think your 2011s, hint, hint. This firearm has a nice flat trigger. It has an ambidextrous safety, and it has interchangeable back straps. Definitely made for someone who's looking for a great carry gun. If you have something like a SIG 938 or a micro Kimber, this might be the gun for you. What I have here in my hand today is a new caliber called the 8.6. Think what 300 Blackout did to the AR-15, 8.6 is going to do for the AR-10. I'm really excited to see more companies taking on this new caliber, and I love the idea that innovation is still continuing in the firearm industry, especially when it comes to brand new calibers. Hi, this is Rob with the Machine Gun Nest here at SHOT Show 2022, and today I'm here at the Ghost Gunner booth with Steven to talk to us a little bit more about their product and how this is going to help change and is a answer to the government making changes to the 80% lowers.
Absolutely. So what we have is the Ghost Gunner 3 CNC mill. It's a 3-axis air-cooled CNC mill. Most people are familiar with it, like Rob was saying, over the 80% lowers. We could knock out an AR-15 80% lower start to finish in 35 minutes. We've obviously had to adapt and overcome to the potential rule change on 80% lowers. So we're going to start you off with what we call the 0%. It's a solid block. It's going to be pretty difficult, if not impossible, to regulate a solid block as a firearm. So 7.5 hours later, you'll go through the progression of operations, and we will get you to a complete upper-lower receiver. So we've split the standard AR-15 lower receiver into 3 pieces. The 2 pieces that we will sell you, that you will later be able to make on the Ghost Gunner, are the buffer tube ring and the lower receiver. The lower receiver bolts to the upper-lower receiver, and then the buffer tube ring bolts to the upper-lower receiver. With some bolts and Loctite, once that sets, you now have a 100% complete strip lower with no serial number that's impossible to regulate. So we're happy to keep you one step ahead of the enemy there.
Right now, you said you can do the upper part of the lower. Next version is doing the lower part,
right,
and the buffer tube.
Right.
So there's a lot more plans going on for this.
Absolutely.
Anything else that you guys have in mind or planning on?
Well, I can say right now we've got a way to obviously do the AR-15, but the AR platform in general would just be different sizes of 0% lower. We would still use the same buffer tube ring. So I think it's safe to say you can see more of the AR pattern lowers coming from us soon in the 0% format. Our goal after that is pistols. So we'll be looking at how do we do a Glock from a 0, how do we do a 1911 from a 0. So we're going to rebuild our whole catalog from solid metal or solid plastic and put them in a difficult position.
That's really cool, and that's an awesome answer to what they're trying to do, putting the power back in the hands of people. If you have more questions about Ghost Gunner and their products, Leave a comment and let us know what you think. We look forward to hearing from you. All right, and that's the end of day 3 at SHOT Show 2022. We've learned a ton of new stuff. And the one theme that I've seen today is innovation. And we're seeing innovation happen in the gun industry. One, in different calibers, 2 brand new calibers brought to the market, the 30 Super Carry and the 8.6 Blackout round. In addition, with Ghost Gunner bringing in the 0% lower, really being able to take on the government trying to stop people from being able to produce their own firearms, which they're legally able to do. This just shows you that our industry is continuing to innovate, and I'm really excited to see what more will come. I'll see you tomorrow for day 4.